אני מפחדת מלחמה מאחר שהיא גורמת לאובדנים.
So you're afraid of war, is that true?
כן.
I invite you to hear these questions as though they were directed to you. You're afraid of war. Can you absolutely know that that's true?
כן.
Your answer came so quickly.
Because it came from my being. אני כבר עברתי מלחמות כאן בארץ. יש כל הזמן איום על מלחמה חדשה. ואני מפחדת.
Well, I hear that. Can you absolutely know you're afraid of war? Is there a war happening here right now?
לא.
You hear bombs going off anywhere?
לא. עכשיו לא.
And if a bomb happened, how do you know you would be afraid?
אני כבר פחדתי במלחמות.
Yes, and how do you know you're still afraid? There's not one happening right now. Can you understand how the mind has a plan? You're planning to fear war that isn't even going on.
Yes.
Get it?
I can see it. אני יכולה לראות שאני מתכננת להיות מפוחדת בזמן מלחמה. יש לי תוכנית מדויקת. שהיא אומנם על סמך העבר, כמה שקרה לי במלחמה קודמת.
That was then, but that wasn't enough for you. You're going to plan it for the future.
Okay.
Enough fear in the world. For all you know, bombs could go off and you might think, how interesting that I'm not afraid. I'm not saying that that would happen. You have a plan.
Okay.
And who knows? And if a bomb did go off just outside the building, you would be afraid. Can you absolutely know that that's true?
No.
What is there to be afraid of? You're still sitting in a chair. The flowers are still here. They're not frightened. They didn't move. They understand very well that it's not happening for them.
אבל הפצצה גם יכולה ליפול על המקום שאני נמצאת בה.
Well, how would you know it?
כשאני ארגיש אותה, טרח.
How would you know if the bomb hit? You wouldn't be here to know it.
זה הסיוט. זה הסיוט.
What nightmare.
Because
It's like if you have a dream that says the bomb would hit you, what is there to fear?
שום דבר.
Thank you. Nice to notice. So we fear what is not in the face of reality. So how do you react when you believe the thought, I'm afraid of war? What physically happens?
קיבוץ בבטן, חולשה בגוף, ירידה באנרגיה, קושי להתרכז.
And images happen when you think that's thought. And as you witness those images that are not reality, they're images. They're images. That's all. It's a movie. That's what's meant by you're living in a dream. You see those images immediately, and then you feel those feelings. And those images are so real that you would even believe in a past that does not exist. You are the woman sitting in the chair now. That is what some people refer to as the grace of God. the grace of reality. You experience the chair holding you,
Yes.
and what holds the chair, and what holds that, and a rug in the state of grace. And then a thought comes. I'm afraid of war. And then the images. And then you enter the war zone, and that becomes your world in the face of grace, and that is always present, really. Even physical pain is a projection of mind. And not many believers can overcome such a thing. But I invite you to wait for the real war and live in a state of grace. We don't have to plan it in our heads. It's enough that it could happen later. Who knows? So war is going to happen. Can you absolutely know that that's true?
לא. Even they are writing it again and again in newspaper, אני לא יכול, גם אם זה כתוב בעיתונים, אני לא יכולה לדעת את זה בוודאות.
You are good.
אני רוצה להגיד לך משהו. אני, למשל, אני חושבת על האזעקה.
Do you love it yet?
לא.
It's the story of what is not happening. Those sirens in your head, those are the reminder of what is not happening. And the state of gratitude that can come with those sirens.
כלומר, עם האזעקות, את אומרת, בזמן האזעקה, אם חס וחלילה תקרה האזעקה, באותו רגע לחשוב על החסד.
Well, whether you think about it or not, it's going on. The sirens happen and you sit here with the flowers. The sirens happen, and like a child, like a little child, you begin to believe things that frighten you. And all that's happening is a siren. What would an intelligent human being do when the sirens went off?
אם היה לי חדר מוגן, הייתי נכנסת לשם. אין חדר מוגן, לא יודעת לאן ללכת. מפחיד.
Get a room. The sirens go off and you say, how kind of them to let me know when to go to my room. But if you're believing your thoughts, you don't have protection when you get to that room, because you will be taking your unquestioned mind with you to that room. As long as you believe your thoughts, there's nowhere to run, there's nowhere to hide. You get to the room, and then you have the thought, they're going to find me.
אני יודעת שאם יהיו פצצות, אנשים יהרגו, אנשים ייפגעו, רכוש ייהרס, לאנשים לא יהיה. זה מראות קשים. זה מראות אמיתיים שקרו כאן בקיץ שעבר.
Yes, and I ask you now, people are going to be hurt. Can you absolutely know that that's true?
לא.
And what happens to you when you think that thought and believe it?
קיבוץ בבטן.
And images?
Yeah, and images.
You see it again. So you live in a world that isn't happening, and you trade grace in the moment for that. Those people that were hurt and died, isn't that enough? You bring it into your life now in this state of grace. Those people were hurt and suffering. Turn it around.
אני עכשיו סובלת.
Yes, you're currently suffering and you're not even hurt. And the bombs are not falling. And that was enough. Can you be happy from here now? Those feelings that you have are the reminder it's time to question what you're believing. Until all of the thoughts you believed, you no longer believe. And you come to appreciate what is, to love what is. You know what I love about grace, about reality? All the pain and suffering of the world is in the past. It's over. That is beyond kind. Every human being that has ever suffered in this moment, it's in the past. But who recreates the pain and suffering in the world from this chair, the chair that you sit in? So you are the cause of all the suffering that exists in this world. And this world is the world as you understand it to be. So you're afraid of war? Can you absolutely know that that's true?
Yeah.
Good to know, isn't it? Those sirens could go off and you might think, interesting sound. I don't have the room that I thought I'd have. As an intelligent human being, what can I do from right here, right now? And if nothing comes to you to do, you might just ask yourself again, I'm afraid of war, is it true? And notice that you're still intact, the flower's still fine. And if the bomb blows your leg off, you can get very excited. It's like, how do I know I'm not supposed to have that leg anymore? It's gone. And immediately move into why you are better off without it. I know you can do this because your mind is very busy creating what you can't do when the leg's blown off. That is proof of your capacity to understand, to create. You're creating the world in the moment of what you will no longer be able to do. Not very exciting, but it's very exciting to just sit in, my leg is gone, and what could be better than two legs? Obviously, life with one leg. And all of the examples of why your life would be better. So, you're afraid of war? What are you without that thought?
אדם בלי כאב בטן, שמח.
That's my favorite part.
שמחה, כלילה, זורמת.
In reality.
In reality. וזוכרת את נושא החסד.
And what's so beautiful about it, you don't even have to remember it. It's all around you.
להיות עם זה במגע.
Yes. Yeah, because...
And to be, ולהיות בהכרת תודה.
Yes, when those sirens are going off and you're noticing reality, gratitude is the gift. So let's see what else. Let's see if there's anything left there. The end of the war with the mind is the end of war. Someone could say, I'm going to kill you. And who would you be if you didn't have the thought, he's going to kill me? Who would you be without a story of the future? And if someone says, I'm going to kill you, how can you know it's true? And so immediately you experience this moment of grace. Nothing has happened. You're just standing with a believer. And because you're not missing what could be life. Life. This is the moment of your life. A few days ago, I worked with some veterans. They saw men that they perceived as enemy running out, and they were fully on fire. They were just burning. So they began to put mud on them to put out the fire and to wait for the choppers to get there so they could take the enemy back to the hospital. And when the helicopters got there, they started taking the mud off of these men. And when the mud would fall off, the flames would start again. So this man that I was doing the work with had the thought that as he did the kind act of putting out the fire, it was just containing it. And he was looking directly into one gentleman's eyes as this was going on. And then he told me that was 40 years ago. 40 years. And he sees this man's eyes over and over and over. And he sees those flames and that burning. And he was told that before they could get to the hospital that all of them died. And I was working with a group of veterans who were all suffering from post-traumatic stress syndrome. Trauma is nothing more than being stuck in what you believe. We walked through, that man was in pain, is it true? And they all said, yes, yes, yes. They've been believing that for 40 years. And then I asked them, have you ever been shot or cut or bleeding or wounded and you didn't even know it until you saw the blood or someone pointed it out to you? And every veteran there said, yes, I have experienced that. They have been seeing themselves for 40 years as monsters. So to answer these questions, these 4 questions, can shift an identity out of itself. And that can be very frightening because it would leave you as free. And what would that look like? What would life be without suffering? It can be terrifying to answer these questions. And anyone can do this work whose mind is open to it. But when we got to the turnarounds, he was in pain and suffering, turned around, I am in pain and suffering. And we counted how many hours from start to finish that they threw the fire and got them on the helicopters. It was 2 hours. And I said, well, let's say 3. And I said, if you had the choice, would you go through that experience in the pain that you imagine that man to be in, on fire, or live in the pain that you have been living in for 40 years? If you could choose one or the other, which one would you choose? Which is the kinder way? And they all jumped on that plane they were imagining. So the worst that can happen is what we're living. Wars can be quick when it comes to reality. But suffering, like what you have witnessed, it can go on and on and on. And answering these questions and sitting in them can open us out to a world that is kinder than we can imagine. And you can do it. You can do it. We can all do it. It's a little odd at first to be happy all the time. But we can do this. If we can suffer, we can be happy. So what is left here?
אני מרגישה לא מוגנת, לבד, קטנה וחלשה. בזמן מלחמה.
You're unprotected, is that true?
Yes.
Let's look at it this way. You need protection, is that true?
Yes.
You need protection. Can you absolutely know that that's true?
No.
And what happens when you think the thought, I need protection, and the sirens go off?
I'm afraid.
So who would you be without the thought, I need protection?
אדם חופשי, מרוצה, שמח.
I need protection, turn it around?
אני לא צריכה הגנה.
No, the sirens go off and you're perfectly fine. Bombs go off all over the city, you're perfectly fine. But only in reality. A bomb goes off and kills you, you're perfectly fine. That's what I love about reality. You know, when you hear the expression, it's all good, they could be right. So if bombs are going off all around you and sirens, I need protection, turned around, I don't need protection. Give me an example of why that's true.
כן, אני מאמינה שלכל כדור יש כתובת, ומה שצריך לקרות יקרה.
Don't you love it? It's like if someone shoots me, I'm very grateful. How else can I die on time? You can't die 1 second too early or too late. It's got to be on time. So you look into the face of the man with the gun, and on your way out, it's, thank you. Timing's everything.
אני צריכה להודות לערבים שמאיימים עליי כל הזמן, כי זה עוזר לי להתחבר למציאות ולכאן ולעכשיו.
How else can you find enlightenment? It takes a whole nation of people to bring you to reality. That's what cousins are for. You know, if someone says, Katie, I'm going to kill you, I think that must be very painful for him. Because it's still projection. It's not about do they kill me, it's do I want to kill them? We're insane enough to believe if we kill them, then we're protected. And it hasn't happened yet. Sanity, reality. Sanity, the state of mind that is in touch with reality, is the only protection that is ever going to exist. And I love your ability to fall into these 4 questions. What did you write for the last one? I don't ever want to.
אני לא רוצה לחוות לעולם מלחמה.
I'm willing to.
אני מוכנה לחוות מלחמה.
So where does the war happen?
Inside me, בתוכי.
That's the only place war has ever happened. That is the only place war can happen. In your mind. So the next time you experience war, you'll notice those images. Who started the war?
אני.
Who can end the war?
אני.
So the next time, it's like you'll feel the feelings, and it'll show you what is left to do the work with. That's what I love about feelings. You don't have to notice when you're caught in the nightmare. Feelings will notice for you. Then you can look at the story you're experiencing and question it. So I'm willing to experience war.
אז אני מוכנה לחוות מלחמה.
It's not as though you have a choice. Life happens. It's just, what are you believing about life that is terrifying you? You would make a victim out of you. And victims are violent people. Victims are frightened people. And frightened people are dangerous. And I invite you to notice that the next time you are violent. And that you take care of one violent person in this world. Only one. So I look forward to.
אני מצפה למלחמה.
Yes, because it only happens here. And the more of a peacemaker that you are, the more the rest of us can learn about what it is to truly live in peace. So we're always teaching through example. So are you teaching? Well, you have to teach what you believe. You believe that you're afraid of war. You teach us that war is a fearful thing. So you're teaching the opposite of war, and a lot of people will join you in that. So the next time you experience that fear, I invite you not to join you in that. And to make peace. And to remember our time together and how simple it can be when you're open to it. It's a privilege to sit with you.
Privilege to sit with you.
It's wonderful to work with someone who has actually seen war and experienced war and heard war, that can laugh in the face of the images in their head, understanding the grace of now. Thank you, precious.
Thank you.
So your mother says it's a tree, and you're a little child, 2 or 3 years old maybe, and your father says, that's a house. It means nothing to you. And then at some point, you become a believer. And when you find that first point, that truly is the moment you're born into this dream world. This world where what you believe is reflected as your reality. So my mother said, your name is Byron Kathleen. It meant nothing to me. And she said it again and again. It meant nothing to me. And then in a moment, I became a believer. And in that moment, I had identity.
אני מתוסכלת וכועסת ומאוכזבת מעצמי ומהמון גברים שלקחו לעצמם את הזכות לפגוע בי בשקר, בבגידה ובאלימות שגרמה כמעט למותי.
So who hurt you?
את כל הרשימה?
The most frightening one that you can remember.
זה אותו אחד שעלה לאוטובוס אחריי ופוצץ אותו. והשאיר לי את כל הצלקות הפנימיות והחיצוניות. ואני כועסת על עצמי שאפשרתי להם את זה, ושאני כל כך פחדנית, שאני עדיין נמנעת מכל כך הרבה דברים, נמנעת מקשרים ומתמסרויות וכל דבר קטן, כי אני יודעת שאני אפגע, גם אם זה להיכנס למים או לעלות על אוטובוס או כל דבר אחר.
You're too frightened to get on the bus, is that true?
אני מפוחדת מדי, כן.
So you're frightened because you're believing your thoughts. So what stressful thoughts are you thinking when it comes to you to get on the bus?
משהו יקפוץ בפתאומיות ויפגע בי.
So, sweetheart, if you get on the bus, something will pop up and hurt you. Can you absolutely know that that's true?
ברור שלא, זה כבר קרה פעם אחת, יש סיכוי 1 למיליון שזה יקרה.
So is that a yes or a no? And what happens? How do you react when you believe this thought? Something will pop up and hurt me on the bus.
כשניסיתי לדמיין את המחשבה הזאת, קרה דבר שקורה לי אוטומטית כשבלון מתפוצץ. אני פשוט נהיית משותקת. כאילו קרו מקרים שפשוט לא יכולתי לתפקד, לזוז, לנשום. אפילו לפני שהספקתי לחשוב על זה, זה פשוט כל כך חזק שזה ישר מגיע בלי המחשבה אפילו.
Yes, and who would you be without the thought something is going to pop up and hurt me?
זה ברור לי שאני אהיה בן אדם הרבה יותר רגוע והרבה יותר זורם ומאפשר עם לב הרבה יותר פתוח. אני רק לא יודעת איך באמת להתמסר ולעשות את זה ולא לפחד כל כך.
You don't need to. People have tried for centuries and centuries not to fear, but the work is new in the world. I call it checkmate. You answer the questions and miracles happen.
I'm ready.
So, if I get on the bus, something will pop up and hurt me. Turn it around.
אני אעלה על האוטובוס ולא יקרה שום דבר?
That could be as true. You could get on the bus and nothing would hurt you, nothing would pop up. I found another turnaround. Would you like to hear it?
How can I know? Give it a try and then I know.
Very good. You're noticing the difference between now and what isn't. It's beautiful. Yeah. All fear is experienced in the what isn't, not in the what is. So I love you know where home is, not imagined home. So here's the turnaround that I found. If I get on the bus, something will pop up to help me. That is the opposite of hurt. So give me an example of what that might be.
אהבת חיי תבוא ותחבק אותי ותנשק אותי והכל יהיה בסדר.
Could happen. Oh, yeah. But why would you wait? You seem very happy right now. The love of your life could be you. You just brought you laughter with that idea. That was within you. That's yours. It was happening now. That's what's within you. I found an example. Would you like to hear it?
Tito?
If I got on the bus, something could pop up and help me. It would help me for the bus to take me where I want to go. Imagine that. Could happen.
אני חושבת שאני יותר מפחדת מהתגובה שלי. אני יודעת שגם אם אני אעלה לאוטובוס הוא ייקח אותי, וגם אם אני אכנס למים, הם פשוט ישטפו אותי, אבל אני פשוט מפחדת מהתגובה שלי שאני אקפא ואני לא אוכל לזוז יותר ואני לא אוכל לנשום ואני לא אוכל ואני ארעד.
So sweetheart, go to the place where you could not breathe. You were so frightened. In that situation, I'll ask you these 4 questions. Okay, so beautiful woman, you need to breathe. Is that true? Can you absolutely know that it's true you need to breathe? It's like, who needs God when you have your opinion?
רק אם אני רוצה לחיות. אני מרגישה שהפחדים שלי מונעים ממני לחיות, מונעים ממני להתמסר ולהיות בחיים.
Now, When you stop answering the questions, the work stops working. We're doing it the old way that does not work in the long run. We have tried everything we know to do, and we're still experiencing fear and violence and suffering in this world, and war with the self. If I cannot breathe, and I believe I need to breathe, I am at war with reality in the moment.
I used to it.
So how do you react when you believe the thought, I need to breathe, and you cannot?
נכנסת ללחץ?
I become stressed out isn't very upsetting. You have to believe something when that's causing the stress. That is where the fear is.
כמו שאמרת, המלחמה שאני רוצה לנשום ואני לא מצליחה.
And then I hear from you, you have the thought, you're going to die. I heard you say it's not a problem unless you don't care about living, basically.
נכון.
That's what happened, isn't it? You had the thought, I'm going to die.
כן.
So close your eyes again. You cannot breathe. You're going to die. Can you absolutely know that it's true?
לא.
And who would you be in that situation without the thought, I need to breathe, I'm going to die?
אני אדם שמוכן לפתוח את הלב ולהתמסר למה שמגיע.
Yeah, there are two ways not to breathe. One is loving the moment with an open heart and mind, and the other is living in the terror of the belief you're going to die if you don't breathe. So, I need to breathe, I'm going to die, turn it around.
אני לא צריכה לנשום, אני לא עומדת למות.
Could be just as true. I'm going to die, I'm not going to die, who knows? The don't know mind is open. And if I cannot breathe, I don't know if I'm going to live or die. I don't know if I'm going to be breathed again or not. It's absolutely not up to me in a situation like that. But in the don't know if I'm going to live or die or breathe or not, I don't miss the joy of the life I do have in what might be my last beautiful moment of this awareness. Life. If we want to live it so badly, don't miss the last moments. Because when you're dead, how would you know it? So if it's life you love, be open to life. And just notice what a dictatorship you're running in your head. I need to breathe. I need to live. I'm going to die. It's a dictatorship.
I know, and I'm tired of it.
People die every day that think they have a choice and they didn't. You need to breathe. Can you absolutely know that that's true?
לא.
Very good to know. So, if you get on the bus and you cannot breathe, have a great trip.
Thank you.
So you're afraid of being paralyzed with fear? Frozen in fear?
אני מפחדת שאני אתן לפחד להשתלט עליי וימנע מלעשות את הדברים שאני באמת רוצה לעשות אותם.
So what do you want to do?
להתגבר על הפחד ולעלות על האוטובוס.
So just get on the bus and
You want to come with me? תזכירי לי כל פעם.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's like what's left that you fear. I know about fear. I was so fearful that they have a name for it, agoraphobia. It's when The mind is so fearful, I couldn't even leave the house. And so paranoid that I feared the mailman's life. I had many thoughts of killing the mailman when he touched our house. And that was his job, to drop the mail in the slot. But that didn't stop my terror. Only the truth could set me free. So, when you think of getting on a bus, for example, or being with men, you're only fearing your thoughts, who you consider and believe yourself to be. Not them or their actions, but what you believe about them and those actions that tear you apart. So when you hear people say there's nothing to fear but fear itself, you can understand this at a level that very few human beings have discovered yet. And I love that for you. If you sit in this for a while, you come to see that you have never been afraid of men and how they have hurt you. You've only been afraid of what you believe and how that hurts you. So I invite you to be fearless in your life and to ride buses. And when you experience fear, get excited and put it on paper. And continue to question what you believe as opposed to reality, which is your true nature. Pure love. And any thought that opposes that feels, on a scale from 1 to 10, 1 to 10. So what is it that you never want to experience again?
פגיעה ופחד להתמסר ולהאמין.
So I'm willing to give myself over and to live?
I want to. אני רוצה, אבל זה... אני מרגישה שאני גם מוכנה, אבל זה עדיין לא מגיע באמת מבפנים. הלב שלי עדיין לא באמת פתוח.
It doesn't have to be on your living. Whether you're afraid or not, here you are, it appears. You're going on. That's how it looks. I'm willing to.
אני מוכנה להתמסר ולחיות.
That's how it looks.
אני גם מוכנה להיפגע בשביל זה, כנראה.
I look forward to.
I'm not.
Could happen. It could happen that you stand up and actually walk. The worst that can happen are thoughts on the way, which create feelings that show you what to question next. So I look forward to.
לקום וללכת ולא לפחד יותר לעולם. טוב, נו, גם אם לפחד, אז אני אתמודד עם זה.
So say it again. I look forward to.
אני מצפה להתמסר לחיים ולא להיפגע, וגם אם אני נפגעת בהם, יהיה מה שיהיה, יהיה בסדר.
Yes. Because you have been very, very hurt, and are you okay in this moment, in reality?
קצת רועדת, אבל בסדר.
So feel the shaking. You feel the shaking? So give it its life. Let it live. It has a right to live. What is so terrible about shaking? It has a rhythm. Thank you, precious.